Hello, hello, everybody. Brie Sodano here, coming to you live. Today, we are going to be talking about money blocks. I've been getting some questions about money blocks, so um, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, if this is our first time getting to know each other, my name is Brie. I am a personal finance expert and the founder of From Sheep to Shark, and I'm excited to be doing this talk with you. All right, so if this is not our first time meeting, if you watch my live sometimes, please say hello in the comments, give me some hearts and likes, and help me to just boost the video in the algorithm. And then as we go, if you take some value from it and you think it's worth sharing, please feel free. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so a money block, right, is this concept that's kind of out in the world, in the law of attraction crowd. People are talking about money blocks and abundance blockers, and this is the way that I really look at what a money block is and kind of what to do about it. So a money block is a belief structure that you have in place. And the way that it becomes a blocker is that you will have a negative feeling, generally a strong negative feeling, when it comes to taking action towards a goal. So let me give you an example. Oh, hey, Patrick Clark. All right. So if I have a belief that rich people are greedy, dirty, capitalist pigs, disgusting, terrible, filthy people, or that they screw people to get money, or that there's anything wrong, right? Like if I believe that rich people are in any way, shape, or form bad, all right, that's cool until I decide that I want to better my financial situation. Then what ends up happening is there's so far that I can go taking action towards a thing where then like a line gets crossed in my subconscious where then I become incongruent with myself. Right? So like let's just say I'm coming from middle class and I despise rich people and I start to save money for a rainy day and my subconscious is like, all right, cool, we're going to let that go because you know, we may need something and you're really not rich here, you're not really one of those filthy people. But then let's just say I go so far as I start taking actions that are more congruent with this person that I've judged as bad, wrong, and I've disowned, that I have that in me. I said, no, rich people are gross. Jeff Bezos is the worst. He is disgusting. He is wrong, guilty, terrible, right? Well, if I start to take actions that obviously, to be a billionaire, you'd have to be taking a lot of actions. But once I start to bump up against that place where I would become incongruent with the person I believe I am, the money block will happen in one of two ways. Sometimes it'll happen before we can take the actions, and that generally we will see procrastination, resistance, getting stuck, paralysis by analysis, like overthinking, not doing the thing, finding reasons not to act. Oh, I'll start investing after my kids are out of daycare, after they finish soccer, after I get their braces paid for, after they finish college, whatever, right? Like, fine, so it's like, all right, I'm not going to cross this line, as like the way that you're subconscious. Now, your conscious mind is it's like a whole different beast, right? Your conscious mind is like, excuse me, we would like the good stuff. We would we would in fact like to have investments. We would in fact like some passive income. But your subconscious is like one of its jobs is to keep you alive. It loves what's familiar and it loves for you to be congruent with yourself. So if you have this belief structure that's like rich people are wrong, then you're not going to be able to get past there. So some of the money blocks will happen before you get to the point of taking too much action. And sometimes the money blocks will happen after you take the action. Those are generally called self-sabotage. So that may be getting a raise, but instead of investing the difference, you up your expenses. Or that may be, finding a financial advisor or putting your money into an investment that loses, like that you didn't research it, you didn't think about it, you hired somebody too fast or whatever, you lose the money. So sometimes money blocks happen before we take the action, and it's generally going to be a vibe of resistance, like getting stuck, not doing the thing. And sometimes it happens after the fact, and that's generally what we will call self-sabotage. So people, I'll give you an example. So a couple years ago, I had an identity that I was just like a chubby lady. That was part of my identity. And I was hiring a trainer. I was going to see her 3 days a week. we were getting decent progress. We were, she was giving me the exercises. I was seeing my little arm muscles being formed. And then all of a sudden, I didn't want to go anymore. I couldn't. I stopped prioritizing it. I was like, all right, I don't want to spend the money on this, which was interesting because I had the money to spend. I don't have time for this, which was interesting because I really had the time to do it. But it was because I got to a place where I started to look different. I started to be different. And I got incongruent with myself. So this was an abundance block, but in the area of health. It wasn't a money block per se. It was an abundance block in the area of health. So I had to really do some work on changing my identity of who I am in regards to my health to be able to push past that. Like that was my work to do. So that's kind of the way that these things go. So I want oh, hello Darlene. I'm so happy that you're here. So when we think about money blocks, or abundance blockers in general, they can be I am statements and they can be on your identity, right? So an I am statement is, if you say to yourself, I'm bad at money, I hate math, I'm not self-disciplined. All right, cool. Another place on that identity level is when you reject other people's identities. So if you've, shit talked Jeff Bezos for being a billionaire, chances are you can only get so far with that because you've rejected some of this, some of what could potentially be an identity that you may need to wear if you were to go that far in a certain direction, right? Jeff Bezos may not be the example because because it seems real far off, but it may just be like, your rich landlord, or like, I don't know, your rich uncle who was a jerk, or whatever else, right? So sometimes it's like the I am statements, and then it's also really it's judgments of other people on their identity. It's like, oh, so and so's privileged, they're rich, everything is what, like, these are the kinds of ways that abundance blocks really happen. So that's one level of them. Sometimes we have these belief structures on like the way things are, right? So like one of the biggest like money blocks I will see uh really on the internet in general is when somebody's like, all right, well, I can't do that because I'm a woman and it's a man's world, or I can't, or other people are privileged and I'm not privileged, so it's easier for them, or the system's not set up for people like me. So listen, it's not that those things aren't true. They're certainly true. Like the patriarchal society is true. Like there are things, that make financial privilege accessible for some and not accessible for others. But here's the deal is that if you have those belief structures in place and you believe that those things are true, then where that leaves you is needing to wait for the whole world to change your situation, which is not true. I've had clients become wealthy from the depths of poverty. I had one client just buy a condo on the water in cash whose mother literally made her underwear out of flour sacks. She literally didn't get a new pair of underwear her entire growing up. Her mom sewed them from the bags of flour that they would get. And now she just bought a condo for cash on the water. Like it's so but if we have to wait for the whole world to change, for the systems to become fair, we're going to be stuck. That we're going to get blocked by that because all we're going to see is the unfairness. So those are really the things to start to think about. So when I'm working with clients, some of the work that we do is to neutralize these beliefs. So we start to look for truth. So the thing about money blocks is that they're really, at their most simple level, it's a truth that is too small for you. And so if imagine the painting behind me, you guys can see it. Imagine that was a mirror and it's big, right? It's a massive painting. So let's just say it was a mirror and I smashed it to bits right now. And that mirror was the truth, the entirety of the truth. Well, when I smash it to bits and I pick up one little piece that's like this big, it is the truth and not the entirety of the truth. So the things that you believe about yourself you're going to be making evidence for those things to be true, and they will be true, but it's not the entirety of the truth. You can choose a different truth. So if you have been saying to yourself, I'm bad at money, well, then it's probably true because you have evidence to support it, but it's also not the entirety of the truth. You could decide to choose a different truth for yourself and become somebody who's good with money, right? Like that's the benefit of having a brain that's reprogrammable. And so these are the things that we want to start to look at. These things that I believe to be true, they need to be questioned. Like the work that I do with clients is so much just questioning these beliefs. Like because when we question them, we can decide, all right, so maybe some rich people are greedy jerk faces, and maybe some rich people are generous patrons of the art who really contribute a lot to society, and both can be true at the exact same time, right? Like they can both be true. Maybe there are some middle class people who are greedy and untrustworthy, and maybe there's some people in the middle class who are generous and life giving, and the same is true for poor people, and the same is true, like across the thing, because at the end of the day, it's money just makes you more of who you are. So there are some people who are going to lean more towards untrustworthy, and there's some people who will lean more toward trustworthy. And it's really got nothing to do with the money. But when you start to see that both are true, what ends up happening is that that belief structure becomes neutralized, and then the emotions kind of ease up off of it. So a lot of times the block is not necessarily the thought pattern. It's that when we go to take action, we get stuck in our feelings, because your feelings dictate your actions much more than your thoughts, right? Like if you've ever said to yourself as you're scooping more food into your mouth, I'm full and I don't need to eat anymore, you know what I'm talking about. That subconscious is in charge of your body. And so your conscious mind was like, hey, girl, oh, we had enough. We feel good. And the subconscious mind is like, that's delicious. One more bite, one more bite. And so that's the basis of what a money block is. So some of the things that you can do are really to start to question your truth. Some of the things that we can do are neutralize those truths. Sometimes with clients we have to clear stuck emotions, especially if there was a story or something that was particularly emotionally charged. Sometimes we have to do some work to release a little bit of emotions from the body. So for example, like for me, I will tell you some of my story is I had a fear of scarcity. So when my financial situation would get tight, I would respond with terror, with being very afraid, which the level of afraid had really nothing to do with the financial situation. I was carrying something from a long time ago. But because that emotion was still stuck in my body, every time I encountered scarcity, that fear that was still there that I hadn't addressed was coming up. And so sometimes that's a thing that can cause money blocks too. So when I'm working with clients, we have to, some of it's just mental belief structures, and sometimes we have to get into very old stories, sometimes not even that old. Sometimes we have stories about, you know like a financial tragedy, a divorce, a loss in the stock market, sometimes things like that, where our feelings really get intense, and then that causes us to derail our activities, right? So I will tell you, like, when I'm making decisions from a place of fear, when I'm like, I am afraid and I am deciding to do this to get out of a place of fear, I don't make good decisions. Nobody does. Nobody does. This is not how fear is a really bad place to make decisions from. You're not going to make very good decisions from a place of fear unless you're like in an actual fight or flight type situation and you need to get yourself out of a situation. That's what fear is really there for you. That's what it's really supposed to be doing. So if my if my client's payments get late and then I start acting from a place of terror, I'm going to make some real interesting decisions, which will block my abundance, because money doesn't like fear. Really doesn't. Money is not into being held by somebody who is afraid of it. So these are all things to consider when you're really thinking about, like, what's a money block and how do I block abundance from myself? So a lot of it's the places you're really going to look are in your thought patterns, your emotional patterns, and your actions. And a lot of times we don't get to the actions because, our emotions get in the way, right? Like there's some of you live Do I need to tell you that the way to build wealth is to save money? I probably didn't need to tell you that. And if you were my client, you wouldn't need to pay me to tell you how to do that, right? Like sometimes people are so funny. They're like, Brie, I need you to tell me practically what to do. And I'm like, no, you really don't. I'm going to tell you to stop spending so much money, save more money, or make more money and save more money, and then you get to a certain place and you can invest your money. You already knew that. The trouble is you're not doing it, and it's not because you're not smart enough. It's because there's something that's in the way. You have a belief structure that makes you feel bad when you go to do it, right? Like, so money blocks around savings are not being able to save, are playing the game where you put money in your savings account, you take the money out of your savings account, you put the money in, put the money out. Sometimes we manifest emergencies and we never seem to get anywhere with the savings. And really, generally, there's going to be a block. There'll be some guilt. It's like generally you're going to feel like you're going to have a thought pattern that says you don't deserve it, you're not good enough, some version of that, and you're going to feel guilty and you're going to get rid of the money. That's the way that money blocks play out. So anyways, so if you are somebody who wants to work on your money blocks, I have one spot open for private coaching right now. Private coaching runs in 3-month contracts, and it is an investment. There is a link to book a call in the description. So if that's something, if you're like, oh my goodness, I really see, that I am blocked up around my money, and I could probably be way closer to wealth, way wealthier if I would clear this stuff up, then give me a call. This is what I do all day, every day. And I honestly, it makes my nerdy little heart beat fast. And then if you have a business and you're in business for yourself and you're doing at least 5 figures a year, I do have some spots open for Limitless Wealth. Limitless Wealth is a year-long mastermind. And the work that we do in Limitless Wealth is it's like a mix of energetic work, mindset work, and practical work. So it depends, and so clients get some individual attention there. So some of my clients we're working on upgrading their offers into premium offers. Sometimes we're looking at making more money. Sometimes we're working at leveraging time. In general, most of the clients in Limitless Wealth are looking to make more money in easier ways. They realize that what got them to 5 figures a year won't get them to 6 or to multiple 6. So we're looking at an entire upgrade of belief structures, an upgrade of like emotional structures, an upgrade of actions and leveraging our actions. And so I do have some spots open in Limitless Wealth. And either one of those, you will give me a call. I still currently interview. It's not like an interview. It's not like a job interview, but I like to talk to clients. I like to make sure that it's a good fit. I like to make sure that they have the space in their lives for them to be successful. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that really is important to me is that my clients get good results. So I like to talk to them just to make sure that it's a good fit and that they're essentially going to get what they paid for, get what they came for, that they're ready for it. They're ready to receive it. So if that's interesting to you, you can feel free to book a call. You'll go right on my calendar. We'll talk for a little while, figure out if I'm the coach for you, and then go from there. All right. So I love you. I appreciate you. And thank you for listening to me. And I hope this inspires you to start to really look at your thought patterns and start to, start working on letting go of your own and letting go from your own money blocks. And so look at somebody says, I need to finish the original course before I move on. Love the tidbits I get from your lives. So I will tell you, so sometimes, a lot of times clients buy the things and then they have a money block that gets in the way. So if you feel like you need some support, if you've had the course for a long time and you feel like you need some support, you can shoot me a DM and see. I do have an offering called Cash Confident, and Cash Confident is it's for people who are working on household cash flow and for people who are in business, but not necessarily to like 5 figures a year, or just don't want a mastermind. And so in Cash Confident, my courses are in there, there's support there, and then I do live coaching calls twice a month. And I do that for people because a lot of times people buy my courses and they do get stuck and they don't finish them, or they'll take the course but don't actually do the work. And the reason I'm in business, the reason I'm in service is to really help people to get those results. And to get the results, you have to take the actions. So when we go information, knowledge is super, super useful. It's super, super valuable. And also you have to take the actions. So anyways, I'm not, I'm not necessarily saying that's you. I actually, I'm on StreamYard, so I can't even see your name or your face. I just see Facebook user. But anyways, all I want to say is offer it. If you're feeling like, oh, I've had this for a long time and I haven't really moved on it, um, there's additional support available. And if you just need to make the time and do the thing, just do that. I was not busting your chops, just offering it. All right. So I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you. Bye.